Okay, happy 4th for everyone that's watching this. This video is clearly about glorifying God, how to glorify God, why to glorify God. I've been thinking today, and I realized that, especially I've been watching a lot of TV recently with my girlfriend, and noticing some of the things that I've seen in some of the shows, and then using some of the stuff I've seen in the shows, and then tapping into my memories and seeing certain things I've seen in reality. Um, More times than not, we glorify ourselves. And I think the reason that is because, one, most people don't believe in God. They have to believe in self because they're the one, they feel like they're doing it. They don't realize that God's doing more for them than they notice. And they can't thank God. They have to thank themselves, they have to worship themselves. And they don't even know they're worshiping themselves because in their eyes or in their mind, again, they're doing more than what they think. They can't see the bigger picture of things. They only see the small picture, which is them doing what they have to do in this world to survive, to make it, to win. I remember I was watching this guy who was basically worshiping himself and talking about his accomplishments, which is not a bad thing, right? It's nice to accomplish things. It's nice to feel good about accomplishing things. But I think some more times than not, especially in our time, because God said this is like the time of Noah. Like, I think we go overboard again, and the thing is because there's a lack of God. We don't give thanks and the appreciation of the things that God really does in our lives, where our ego is massive. So here's an example. So you accomplish something, right? Say you just graduated college, or you won some great award, or you're about to get awarded for something you did great. That's like very grand to most modern day people. We'll say, I'm amazing, right? We make it bigger, that accomplishment bigger than what it is, and we boast ourselves, our ego, above everybody and everybody. I'll give you another example. I have a little sister who's probably not the greatest person in the world, and I'm not even trying to crap on you. I can't help but to tell the truth. I'm not even trying to crap on her because I still love her, but this is just true. This is the best example. And she's done a lot in her life. She's done some great things. She's not done amazing things. She's not like, oh, she's not a god or anything like that, right? But she has done amazing things. She's done great, like most people have. But she puts herself above others based on what she sees and what she can perceive and what she can put together. And then she belittles others because they're not where she is at or where she thinks they need to be at. And so in her mind, she's done great. She feels good. She's boasting herself, not really realizing she's had more help than she notices, and that these other people are held back not only by themselves, but there's many other factors. One thing I've realized in my life is I can accomplish a lot of things. I really can. And those accomplishments are never enough for me. And the reason why is because to me, I know they are accomplishments, but to me, they aren't that important. They aren't grand milestones for me. I realize I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about nothing. I don't care. I don't care if I won $1 million. I honestly don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would care, but the way I'm placing it is I'm trying to say most people would overly care. They would wallow in the fact that they were a millionaire, that they have it all. They would shit on, and excuse my French, other people. They would trash them because they have to, because in them there's darkness, is the best way to put it. And they have to belittle you. I'll give you another example. I used to have a friend. He'll never be my friend again, but I still love him. And when I see him do wonderful things and they have wonderful things, I love seeing it because I love him. But I'll never be his friend again because there was one point he got a great job. And as soon as he got this great job, he started crapping on his friends, even me. And I remember he kept going on and on about how he's got this great job and he's making more money than everybody. And then I remember I asked him, right, because I realized I started to notice that he was doing this every day. He would do it every day, even though we already congratulated him. We said, this is great for you, all that stuff. He kept doing it, knowing we weren't in the best place. And I asked him, I was like, yo, I even said it, I said exactly like this. I was like, yo, I'm glad you got a new job and it's going to pay you great and this and that. I was like, but can you please stop saying it every day? And then guess this is exactly what he said to me. And I didn't even argue with him. This is exactly what he said to me. He said, no. And that's when I knew he was being malicious. And his intent was to be malicious. It was to keep us down. So I said nothing, and I never was his friend again. I think we've spoken here and there because it's weird. We have some similar friends, so I might have seen him sometimes. But other than that, I've never really associated myself with him. I never went to a party of his. I've never invited him to anything. I've made it very clear, I'm not your friend. I never will be your friend. No hate, no malice. But if you're willing to hurt me, like you have every intent to hurt me, I'm out. I'm literally out. Like, I get people make mistakes, right? Like, in the sense, like, you might do someone dirty because you're lacking wisdom or you're ignorant in certain areas. I get it. We do make a lot of mistakes. But when you deliberately go out of your way to hurt me, there's a problem. And that's what I mean by people boast themselves up more than they realize. God's helping everyone. God's doing more, way more than you honestly think. That's why God told me to rest, because he does things. But I, just like anybody else, feels like we have to go above and beyond to win and get what we need to get, when in reality God has already made a way for most of us, but we screw it up because we're rushing or we're fighting, we're battling everyone around us because we feel like we have to get somewhere. I'll give you another example. Alexander the great conqueror, right? He at some point he thought he was a god. He's talked about everywhere, but he was not a great guy. He was not a great guy, and his life ended short. And I'm pretty sure he's not. I don't know where he's at, but in my opinion, I'm going to say that to save myself. In my opinion, sorry God, I think he's in the other place, not the great place. And I could be wrong. God didn't tell me this, but I think this is because he said he done this. He's the greatest. He's God. Why? Because he felt like he was doing everything, not knowing again that God could have gave that to him. I remember there's a verse in the Bible where God talks about how he makes people kings. He does that. If you're in a high position or this and that, God has given it to you. The difference is you aren't aware of that. You're putting it on you. I did this. I'm the greatest. I'm God. God is God. He's the one that got you there. You don't notice the small things because your eyes and your ears aren't open and your heart's not healed. When your heart is healed, you see with your eyes and you hear with your ears, and you can see and hear the things that you need to hear and see. That's how I try to tell you God is love. God, I gotta make a video to really elaborate on the God is love, but a lot of you guys, you overly indulge in your accomplishments. That's the problem. It's like you're too self-absorbed about what's really happening in this world, and you stomp other people's light because I guess I'm not just it's so hard to explain it because I'm not like this in some sense. You're so happy with yourself is the best way to put it. You're overly happy. You're overly joyful. If I accomplish something, right, I'm going to feel good. I'm not going to lie to you. That's true. But I'm not going to overly indulge in that moment because it doesn't matter. Like for me, it's like I'll like my accomplishment, then I'll move on. Because to me, my grand accomplishment is heaven. It's everything about God. Like, it's so hard to explain it. Like, I wish I could I want to draw you what my mind is like. When I think of God, I think of, obviously we can't have the concept of God is like beyond us. But in my mind, how I see it is the universe. It's the galaxies. It's everything. It's vastness is the best way to put it. It's insane vastness that I can't grasp, and I want to grasp it. And when I look at my minuscule accomplishment here, they make me joyful in the physical for a short time. And then I go on to the next thing, and then I want to chase that vastness that I've always been chasing in my life. Nothing amounts to that to me, and that's God. Do you understand? And it's because I understand God. I've been attached to God even when I was atheist because I knew love. I knew how to love from the beginning because I got love from my mother. And even though she wasn't great, and a lot of people later wasn't great, I still understood love. I never let love leave me, which again is God, because love made sense. Even if it hurt, it made sense. And I didn't make love flee from me because, again, to me, love made sense. God is love. Like, if you're a decent person, God's with you and you're holding on to God. But most people can't grasp it with their mind because they don't understand the faith, the visibleness of God, the fact that He's not something you can use your five senses, even though to some degree you can. You just gotta have, again, it comes down to faith, which I gotta make a video about that. But when it comes to glorifying God, and what it really means is to understand that you aren't alone and you aren't doing this yourself. And even though you feel like you have to rush and do certain things and you have to battle on this and that, you're not battling and rushing yourself. Someone else is on the other end doing things for you and protecting you in ways that you can't even fathom. That's why certain bad people do bad things, like where they work for the devil. It's because they've given up and then they've tapped into something, a side of them that's not loving. It's like push the love to a side. I'm going to get what I want no matter what I have to do. That's why there's these bad people. They completely shut themselves off to that concept. They can't even grasp love anymore because it doesn't make sense. Because they want to win. They want to win so bad. I remember when I was like that, I was like, I want to do whatever I have to win. And then that's when the first time I heard God, He was like, if you do this, I'm gone. And that was when I was like, I didn't even know He was with me. I was like, let me chase this. Let me see if this is real. And I chased it, and then I found out more and more. I had faith, right? I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know nothing. I just was like, I'm going to try, right? Who cares if I waste my life? None of this is, I was like, all this is meaningless anyway. Like sex, money, all of it's ultimately meaningless. So you're a slave in this world. Let me chase this to see if it's true, because the other outcome isn't good, right? And it ain't fun for anyone. So I chased it, and then I found that was true. To glorify God is to realize, and it says in the first commandment, honor thy God with my heart, mind, and soul. He basically has to be number one in your life because He is doing more for you than you realize. And when you love God, you don't put yourselves over others. And then how I'm putting that is when you ultimately give your life to God, like when you truly get to a point, right? Because this is a process. It's not like an instant thing you can do. Maybe for some, right? I can't say everyone's experiences, but for most people, I'm going to say it's generally a process. When you finally get to that point where you can put God above everyone, you will never have this immense ego where you're snuffing out other people's light, because you understand that you're just and this is from the movie Prince of Egypt. You're a thread in a a fabric, like a rug or something. You're just a little teeny thread. You are minuscule to the grand design of things. You're not as important as you think you are. You aren't God. You aren't this almighty person. You accomplish things, but those accomplishments don't define you. It's the best way. They are just something you do in this life. And thank God for those things. Thank yourself, obviously. Feel good about yourself. Thank God, and then move on and love is the best way to put it. And that's, again, and that since you're about to do that, that's God. So again, you have to glorify God. Ultimately, you have to, because He's the one doing everything. This is God's story, whether you believe it or not. The reason why this is God's story is because He's the one doing everything. The reason you exist is because of God. The reason you can wake up tomorrow is God can say no. He can say, nope, I'm done with you. Like, I'm tired. He can literally say that, like, and it'd be over. You wake up tomorrow, and guess what? You're awake because God allowed you to wake up. Literally, that's literally true. We glorify God because we understand that ultimately none of this matters. Yes, enjoy what you can enjoy, but don't overly indulge to the point where you worship basically those things or yourself, to the point where you are God. And again, Alexander the Great is a perfect example. If you ever looked into him, he was a great conqueror, great king, but guess what? He was a trash person. He was a trash person. And guess what? God did that for him, and he still couldn't figure it out. For the life of him, he couldn't figure it out. I don't know the grand design of why God chooses certain people to be in certain positions and to do certain things. I don't understand. But that's not my job to understand everything. My job is to honor God and to glorify God, because I understand He is love, He is good, and He's the navigator of all things. Literally the navigator, the creator, the author, the main character of the story, no matter what you think. God isn't some tyrannical monster. He's beyond our comprehension. So when when you aren't really chasing him, you never fully understand. You're just using your limited abilities to try to grasp. God ain't going to give you nothing when you're being low-key a monster. I know. That's how we look. I know everything. How? You don't know nothing. You don't know a fraction of anything. The only reason I know stuff is because God has revealed it to me. I don't know nothing. Never in my life have I known anything. God reveals things to me. Why? Because I humbled myself, right? When the first time he spoke to me, I was like, I literally said to myself, I don't know nothing. And that's when my older sister, I apologized to her because I was an arrogant little twat, honestly. And I thought I knew everything. And then I apologized to her because I thought she was retarded. I thought I would never listen to her because she was so different. She was so beyond me. I thought she was retarded. And I told her, I was like, I'm sorry that I literally thought you were slow. So I wasn't going to listen to you and I treated you like crap. That's how other people do to us because they're like, you don't have a college degree. Maybe you didn't graduate high school. Maybe you got a disability, or then they shit on you. Excuse my French, because to them, you ain't working hard enough. You ain't special like me. You ain't special like I am. You ain't the GOAT like me. You ain't nothing. You're a bum. You lazy. You're retarded. And they have to do that. They have to, because they have to pick themselves up. Because guess what? Even though they don't say that, maybe they do deep down. They're God. I'm in control. I do this. I've set the stage. I accomplished this. I did this. You ain't do nothing by yourself. You never done nothing by yourself. God has always been there for you, even when it hurt. I used to sleep in an abandoned building on a carpet, and my best friend told me he was going to come visit me when I slept in this abandoned building. He never came. And then when I fell on God, I cried because it made me realize when I was sleeping in that abandoned building on a carpet, God was with me the whole entire time. It's not some fantasy. This is real. Once you tap in, faith and belief isn't a blind thing. It's a legit reality, not one you create. It's something that actually happens, but you got to, again, it really comes down to humility and then tapping into a process that you can't understand. You can't, it's like someone saying, I'm going to eat a hot dog, or I don't like hot dogs, but you never tried. You never tried it. Or someone, I remember I used to ask my friends to play certain video games, and he's like, I'm going to be bad at it. Well, you might, more than likely, you're going to be bad at it the first time, but you got to keep going, bro. Only way you're going to get good at the game is if you try. You got to try, and then keep going. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a process. You got to go into it with faith, believing that it's possibly true, best way to put that, and then keep going. You just keep going, even when it's rough, even when it's bad, even when you're doubting. Don't stop. Don't give up. You can fall, but then get back up and keep going. And then even if the steps are small, cool. Just talk to God, and He will. You have to believe it, and that's true. Glorifying God is really putting Him above everything. Literally, that's why the first commandment is that. That's why you hear Jesus always referring to God the Father and loving God the Father and like putting Him above all things, because you have to. He's done it all. He's created it all. He knows it all. He's there for you when you don't realize He's there for you. He's making ways. He's making things happen. And it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And when you really get to that point where you glorify God, everything is minuscule. It's minuscule to a point where it's healthy, is the best way to put it. It's small to the point where it's healthy. It's because you do love the things that you do. You do love the accomplishments that you make, but they're not to a point where it's obsessive. And then to the point where you're worshiping yourself instead of the Creator who's already made the way and did this for you. You have to open your eyes to the fact that these things are true. And I pray and I hope to God that I explain this to the best of my ability, because I'm not the best at doing all this. I wing everything. But thank you guys for listening. You guys take care, and God bless. Happy 4th.